Welcome to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 30th of June. I'm going to provide some standout details to begin with to look out for, then share on screen the event chart right at the start of the week, which always provides an influential backdrop. I'll go through all the big influences as the week unfolds, frame by frame, to give a clear overview of what we can collectively expect. Please stay with me. I'll then go through each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces, which you can relate to in terms of your ascendant, sun or the moon. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. All your views and interactions are truly appreciated. If you've yet to sub to the channel, please do so now, and to help it thrive, also please click or tap the bell notification symbol. My new website is thriving at patrickarundell.com. Please join us to check out your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscope forecast. You can also enjoy my wonderful 3 free card tarot as much as you like. If you'd like to talk to me one-to-one, please see the testimonials below. Check out how other people have found working directly with me. Year 2025, as I have been mentioning, is rattling by. You can order your forecast for next year now, your transits, get the rest of this year through, but also my special package, get 30% off and get your life roadmap report. That's crucial. It helps us to understand the patterns that have played out in our lives so far, get a more intimate understanding of how to work with that energy, and together with your forecast, plot your future moves that much more shrewdly. Please see below for more. So this week sees Venus, the planet of relating, in an electric connection with Uranus, the planet of change. If a relationship has got a little bit dull, then this is our opportunity to reignite the flame of passion. But for some people, it could be that point where they do want to pursue their own personal freedom. Now, Venus is going to be moving later in the week into the sign of Gemini, where she is very charismatic, flirty, chatty, so that does bring a different dimension to bear. But we are also going to continue to see the Sun and Mars in a very energetic, supportive relationship. But on Friday, Neptune, the planet of dreams, which is in the sign of Aries since the 30th of March, goes into a retrograde and is going to return to Pisces on the 22nd of October. And it will go on in its retrograde through to the 10th of December. So that's a big deal, because obviously Neptune rules the sign of Pisces and is quite complex in the sign of Aries. So on the screen now, I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the week. As ever, we need to be mindful of the luminaries. So the Sun is at 8 degrees, still in the first decan of the sign of Cancer, but in that energetic angle with Mars in Virgo. But you can see the Moon is very close to the position of Mars as we begin this new week. So it's possible, as Sunday came to a close and we come into the new week, we may feel quite action orientated to clear up any domestic outstanding detail that maybe has been put to one side. But also we could find ourselves feeling a little bit irritable at the start of this week. The Moon and Mars together can be quite a volatile mix in some ways, certainly an impatient one. And one of the things also we need to do really is to make sure that we don't focus on small issues to such a degree that we forget the big picture. But we may find ourselves being triggered by things that people do immediately around us that seem to, in some ways, affect our sense of peace and tranquility. But I think we can use that to our advantage. But you can see that Mercury is in an opposition as we come into this week with the planet Pluto. We may encounter perhaps together with that Moon-Mars conjunction, someone who's got a real conviction about their viewpoint. The problem with Mercury in Leo, though we can speak from the heart, it can also see us being rather attached to our egos when it comes to our ideas. Pluto in the mix can bring a lot of desire to be very penetrative, but perhaps make more political points. We could encounter someone who is just as entrenched in their opinion as we are. So that's tricky, but it is true that Mercury forges a much more constructive link to Saturn and also Neptune. So I think in terms of the overall zodiac, the energy of the Moon conjunct Mars is certainly pushing us to get on with things, but that Mercury in that opposition with Pluto does require some care. We could encounter someone, you know, the type of person who has a might is right type of attitude, so that is possible. Now, in an ongoing relationship of any kind, as we go into the week, with Venus in a conjunction with Uranus, which peaks on Friday, the day that Venus actually moves into Gemini, let's think about the archetype of the host, Taurus, which Venus rules. So it can be about money, so we could find ourselves maybe a little bit more impetuous about spending the money that we've got, or maybe we want more space, and that space could be from a relationship that's not working very well. And with the Moon and Mars in a conjunction, maybe is something that doesn't feel quite right. We could get a bit more fixated on that imperfection. So we need to be aware of that. Another thing about Venus and Uranus in a conjunction, it could give us the spark of a pure slice of ingenuity. So Venus is about creativity in its own way, and in its home sign, an appreciation of things. So if you've got an idea that is a bit different, that's fresh, why not check it out? Give it some space to potentially evolve. But I think in a long-standing relationship, if things have got very dull and predictable, then the impetus here is to try to recreate things in some kind of fresh way. Now, the other thing that could happen with Venus in a conjunction with Uranus is we could encounter someone who has a kind of electricity, a magnetism about them that we find very, very alluring. What we're going to find with Venus moving into Gemini on Friday, particularly in its trine to the location of Pluto, if we really connect to someone at a heart level, but we also have that attraction, this could be something that's really quite significant. So something unexpected around relationships or finances or creativity is possible whilst we have that electric energy of Venus and Uranus together. Now, of course, when Venus moves into Gemini, it will be linking back constructively to Saturn and Neptune. So even if there are words earlier in the week, perhaps to do with the domestic chores that maybe someone feels aren't getting done efficiently enough, the Moon conjunction with Mars, and maybe there is going to be a frank discussion, Venus conjunction with Uranus, actually by the end of the week, if we can get the dialogue going, Venus's link to Pluto means that we can become very aware of who is very significant in terms of relationships. But if we're meeting someone new, the link between Venus, Saturn and Neptune is very encouraging for the potential for something to shape up that may be both interesting, stimulating, but may also be lasting. Now, at the heart of this week, there is a quarter moon, ironically, in the other sign that Venus rules of Libra, which of course can be about relationships. So it's possible that the conversations that we have may be with a family member, and what I feel you can get with the 7th, 4th square, the 4th being the Sun in Cancer, is maybe in a family or emotional situation, you could find that two people you like aren't getting on very well, and you may find yourself in some ways being the referee of some tensions. But it also could mean that someone's avoiding saying really how they feel or being almost too diplomatic. So having Venus in a conjunction with Uranus can push us all to be as authentic as possible, because Uranus is the planet of higher truths. It is, of course, going to move into Gemini on the 7th of July for 5 months for its first blush in about 77 years. So really, really historical moment. But as it's coming to the end of its journey through Taurus in this particular phase, it certainly has been quite a tough transition the last 7 years for many of us, in terms of the instability around finances and just knowing where we are. So we're moving into a time when all sorts of communications can work. There's going to be new forms of telepathy and obviously digital communications, some of which may feel a bit scary and a bit sci-fi. But I feel after this challenging 7 years, Venus followed by Uranus moving into Gemini can help us to get the communication going in a more effective way. Please stay with me as I go through each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. So Aries, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast, I think can see you very busy, and I think you're keen to get things done because since the third week of May, you may have found it hard at times to really gain the motivation. But as you go into this week around the domestic sphere, with your ruler Mars aligning to the moon, that can give you a push. But also they're both linking back to the sun in your 4th house, very much to do with the home. So whether it's a tidy up, a declutter, redecorating, getting time spent in your garden, all of those things can see you keen to achieve something tangible. But you may also be a little bit impulsive with your resources this week, but if you do splash out, you may get something that's labour saving and can actually free up your time in some kind of way. Now, at the heart of this week is a quarter moon. Someone close to you may need your support, and that may be something that has been ongoing. It may be that it peaks this week. The more empathetic side of your nature is to the fore through to the 22nd of October, with Neptune in a retrograde from Friday of this week in the sign of Aries. But as Venus makes her way into the bubbly effervescent Gemini at the end of this week, you are going to have the chance to be playful, do something more social as this week draws to a close. But I feel that that more practical part of your situation is going to call out for your attention initially. If in a romantic context you and a partner don't have the same approach to the domestic budget, purchases, hobbies and interests, there may be a frank exchange that is needed, which could actually happen on Friday. And if you have felt it a little bit difficult to really open up about what it is that you want, maybe Neptune retrograde in a way is encouraging you to have the confidence to listen to your instincts and be a bit bolder, even if you feel someone won't necessarily appreciate it. But Venus moving into Gemini, linking back to Saturn and Neptune in your sign, and also over to Pluto, suggests over the next 3 or 4 weeks you could have some very exciting connections in terms of your social situation. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Taurus, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast has a lot of lively energies threaded through it. I feel a sense of excitement. You have a reputation of an appreciation of continuity, but over the last 7 years Uranus has been pushing and provoking and prodding you to change things up, look at things in fresh ways, liberate yourself from what's no longer working. But if you're a creative or you want to start something fresh, this would be an absolutely sensational week to get things in motion, because of the combination of your ruler Venus with the electric energies of Uranus, encouraging you to be different. But also there's a fantastic combination between the moon and Mars at the start of this week, which could make you impatient, but the link back of them to the sun in the 3rd house of quick communications suggests if you've got something to say, you can say it with confidence and conviction, but no little uniqueness this week. The one thing I would say to you is the quarter moon on Wednesday just encourages you not to try to do too much. So the third 6 square can see us a bit tempted to almost be too virtuous and pack too much in. So set your intentions for this week on the things that are really important and work your way through your to-do list, but prioritize what's essential. Now, if you are in a romantic relationship which is too dull as you feel it at the moment, there's part of you that might be actually a little bit inclined to provoke a partner to try to get some kind of reaction. If you do, it could in some ways make things feel a little unsettled, but maybe you're craving some extra excitement. But what we can all do, we can all wait for someone to initiate something for us, but we can also all take the initiative. And I think that's what you're being asked to do. Now, Neptune does go retrograde on Friday. It is in a complex area for you. And I think through to the 22nd of October, if you are someone who's developing a much greater interest in things like personal development, consciousness raising, mindfulness, meditation, healing, and those kind of strands, that could actually be magnified through that period of time. But immediately as this week draws to a close, something you've done in the past could give you a return in the present, and that return could be financial as your ruler Venus moves into your second house. Expect some serendipity around finances over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Gemini, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast is really fascinating, because in the first part of the week there could be some challenges around relationships that bubble into the open. Maybe unspoken assumptions, maybe someone not being completely honest, maybe an incredible attraction to someone who's not truly available. Perhaps you're not truly available. Maybe a link to someone from your past, or the need to break free from something that's very psychologically repressive. Because by the end of this week, Venus moves into your sign. A wonderful opportunity over the next 3 or 4 weeks to revitalize your personal appearance. If you are a creative, if there has been something that's been bubbling away on the back burner, Venus moving into your sign will give you extra confidence to express yourself, particularly in her link with Pluto, with conviction. But also Venus is going to be forging a very stable link to Saturn and Neptune, which goes retrograde also on Friday as Venus arrives. So the friendships that really matter, if there is someone that you're really drawn to romantically, by the end of the week you're going to be feeling much more reassured. But I just feel that if there is something that's been bubbling away, that's been difficult, it could come into the open in quite a potent way with Venus's conjunction with Uranus. And for some Geminis, it may be the end of the road around any kind of relationship where you feel you can't truly trust someone. They don't really understand you. Maybe there are unspoken assumptions that are causing mischief. The other thing I would say to you, if you are thinking of speculating to accumulate with the Sun in your second house, the quarter moon is saying if you are tempted to have a punt, I wouldn't be too quick to do so. There's quite an impulsive conjunction between the Moon and Mars at the start of this week, which could see you moving the furniture all around, a bit unsure of where to live, maybe feeling a bit feisty with someone close to you. So when it comes to splashing the cash, I feel that this is a week perhaps not to do so on too much of a whim. But as the week draws to a close, your ability to use your personality powers in a very magnetic and charismatic way is certainly amplified. But any weakness around a lack of sincerity, fair weather friends, if someone's not being completely discreet, all of that stuff can come up as Venus combines with Uranus. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Cancer, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast could see you have some very exciting conversations this week. The week begins brightly with the combination of the moon, your ruler, and also Mars. That can be a very restless influence, but because they're anchored back to the sun in your sign, if there's something that's inspiring you, you'll certainly want to share it with others. And with the electric conjunction between Venus and Uranus in the friendliest part of your scope, any ideas you have or connections or networks which really light you up, those are going to be the things that are activating you this week. Now the quarter moon is, intriguingly for you in Libra, is your 4th solar house, which does have a flavour of the sun in Cancer. So something that you're wanting to do as an individual at the moment, I wouldn't rush it too much, because that combination could see you go a little bit against what's right to protect yourself in terms of security. As the week draws to a close, however, Neptune slams on the cosmic brakes through to December the 10th, and initially it's in the part of your situation to do with your connections to the world. If you're not quite sure about those at the moment, that could be a period of deep thinking. In fact, when it comes to your connections, as Venus dives deep also on Friday, if there is a relationship that isn't working quite so well, or you want to think very deeply about what you want from a one-to-one, or what you want from your finances, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, you may find yourself doing a lot of soul searching. But also, you may find yourself thinking about someone from your past in a much more meaningful way too. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Leo, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast could see a sudden opportunity come up as far as your work's concerned, and if it does, you may have to make quite a fast decision. If you're someone who likes to stick with what you know, that in itself could be a bit challenging. There's also the potential with Venus in a conjunction with Uranus. If you feel in a personal relationship, doesn't have to be a romantic one, that someone tends to have certain expectations which crowd you a little bit and don't necessarily let you be quite the free spirit you want to be, that can be an issue. However, at the heart of this week, the quarter moon could see some gossip come to the fore. Not necessarily from you. You may hear something, someone may say something to you that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. The best way to deal with that kind of stuff, whether it's locally, at work, online, is probably to keep your own counsel. As the week draws to a close, Venus is moving into a very sociable part of your scope. Over the next few weeks, the opportunity is there to celebrate the things you have in common, not what make you different. And I feel that also because Venus forges such a strong link with Pluto, if there is a friendship you've got where you really do feel quite a close alliance, that can become much more obvious to you as this week draws to a close. Ironically, you could also become much more conscious of the fair weather people around you, but I think in terms of your professional situation, something very, very fast is possible. If you work for yourself, for example, a new idea that you've been generating could suddenly really catch someone influential, catch their attention in a very constructive way. But continue to use old experiences, knowledge and wisdom as best you can in a new way, because I feel with the sun in your 12th house linking very constructively to Mars, there is a progress to be made financially by being in touch with all that knowledge you've accumulated over time. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Virgo, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast is a very high energy week for your sign in particular. You may find it difficult to sit still. You may want to do something completely off the cuff. You may be feeling very spontaneous, but you also won't really appreciate anyone trying to contain what you're trying to do, even if you are doing it just in the moment. Part of the reason for that is you step into the week in determined fashion with the moon and Mars together in your sign, and whether it's your immediate need or something you're hoping to do for your future, you're really up for the action. But if you are seeing someone romantically and you can do something off the cuff together, that's actually going to be very enlivening between you. If, however, you've been seeing somebody where it isn't really as exciting as you would like, there is the potential, to be truthful, that some Virgos may want some personal space. It doesn't mean the relationship is going to be terminal. It just may mean you'll need to pursue your own interest, get out with some friends, just have a little bit of freedom. Now, as the week goes on Friday, Neptune, the planet of dreams, does go into a retrograde, which goes on through to the 22nd of October in the part of your chart to do with shared resources. But Venus on the same day climbs into the most visible part of your chart. Charm will get you everywhere when it comes to your professional situation over the next 28 days or so. It could be a case that if you work directly with the public, the skills you have as a diplomat will also be very strong for you. There is a quarter moon at the heart of this week. One of the things that can show up with this is that if you feel that someone that you're friendly with is not necessarily someone that you can relate to in terms of their views, perhaps their values, perhaps even around finances, that may be something that does cause a little bit of tension. And with Venus, the planet of relating, in the conjunction with Uranus, the planet of freedom, if you are footloose and fancy free, someone completely different to your background can be the type of person who actually does stimulate your interest. Whether it would be a brief connection or something longer lasting is another matter. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. Libra, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast continues to see the sun in a part of your horoscope which helps you to raise your profile, be very dynamic, assured, and go for your goals and ambitions. What's not to like? Well, it's just that right at the start of this week, the moon, how we feel, and Mars, how we action things, are in a very tender embrace, which could make you feel a bit irritable and not quite know why. Perhaps part of the issue is that you're not feeling as seen or recognised as you would like. And Venus, your ruler, is also in an electric combination with Uranus. Some of this issue might be to do with money. And the quarter moon at the heart of this week suggests that you may have to use a bit more assertion, even if you worry it will rock the boat. Because the 10th house, where the sun is where we need to conform. It's where we need to play by the rules, where we need to work with established structures and institutions. But the moon in your sign is reminding you not to give away your uniqueness in order to try to fit in to the point that you feel invisible. and because your ruler Venus is in such a rebellious combination with Uranus, if it is about a financial matter, or it is about someone not really being quite as invested or connected, perhaps even in a romantic situation, as Neptune goes retrograde in your sector of relationships as the week draws to a close, but also Venus, your ruler, moves into the sector of higher truths and forges a stunning link back to Neptune, but also back to Saturn and Pluto. A lot of clarity is going to fall into place as this week draws to a close, but I feel you could start it in a kind of high energy way, but also a bit of a frustrated place, and just feel very sensitive if things aren't going quite as it seems to plan. But I think things will start to fall into place as this week comes to a close. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Scorpio, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast has a very high energy vibe to it. Your traditional ruler Mars is angling up to the Sun still in a very constructive way. If you wanted to do something a bit more daring, vigorous, rugged, a great week to go for it. You could find right at the start of this week that your attention span is a bit low with the moon combining with your traditional ruler Mars, but there's also the conjunction between Venus and Uranus. Now Venus is in a lovely part of your chart. It's where we can let go of differences, but Uranus can actually make us more aware of where we need to be really honest. The combination of the two could see you encounter someone who's very exciting, unpredictable and fresh, but also it could flag up something that does require attention in an existing relationship. The quarter moon, which occurs at the heart of this week, is also very psychological. So if there is something a little bit tender washing around just beneath the surface, it has a potential to actually be amplified in terms of your psychology in a surprising way. I think I mentioned last week that Saturn and Neptune have perhaps been putting the handbrake on your physical vitality since the end of March in the case of Neptune, end of May in terms of Saturn. Neptune goes retrograde at the end of this week, suggesting through to the 22nd of October, looking after your energy and towards the end of August is going to be important. But as this week draws to a close, Venus makes the transition from the equitable, harmonizing part of your chart to the very, very hot and intense part of your chart. So even if you do encounter someone this week that is challenging, different, stimulating, you have a frank discussion, whatever happens, it's going to be by the end of the week that you make the decision in a more sensory way of whether you want to devote more time and energy into it in a closer way, or you may decide that you want to break free, because Uranus is the planet of freedom, Venus is the planet of relating. They are in your sector of relating, and your overall chart at the moment is emphasizing the part of you that is enjoying being more active, getting out in the world. So if you feel held back by any kind of attachment, it may be one that you want to break free from, even if temporarily, by the end of this week. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Sagittarius, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast begins with the Sun continuing its transitional phase, the 8th house. Can be very deep, can be about things we need to invest more in, some things we need to let go of. Mars, the planet of action, and the Moon are in a very visible part of your chart at the start of the week. If you're wanting to get things done, everybody's going to know about it. And you could be a bit impatient, but that impatience can give you the spark to actually get things moving. But Venus, the relator, has been softening that part of your chart which has been very disruptive since March 2019 because of Uranus, and the two come together in a conjunction. If you have been hoping to hear about a job opportunity, one could come out of the ether. But also, if it feels in a job that you're the one that's always very conscientious and sacrificing, that's something that could really start to stick in your craw. And that transformation that I'm talking about could be about looking for other opportunities. The quarter moon, which occurs in the part of your scope to do with friendships and squares back to the sun, suggests if there is a kind of possessive or jealous person around you in your crowd, that may be something you're not going to want to be so keen on. But Venus moves, as this week draws to a close, into one of the most beautiful parts of your chart. The following 28 days have some very rich possibilities. In some ways, it may be accepting that certain relationships are never going to be perfect. But for other Sagittarians, this could be a chance to meet someone who really does connect with you in a very special way, particularly as Venus forges such a significant link to Pluto, how you're thinking and communicating, but also Saturn and Neptune, what you want in terms of expressing your individuality. So a significant opportunity could be developing around all sorts of connections from the end of this week onward. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. Capricorn, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast still has the sun in the part of your chart to do with trying to reach accords, set boundaries, work on better understanding around all sorts of relationships. Now, it is forging a very energized link to Mars and initially the moon at the start of the week. If there are connections you have that bring you a sense of excitement, you share a hobby or passionate interest, that can really be very invigorating as this week begins. But if you are talking about a financial matter with Mercury and Pluto exactly opposite as the week begins, it will be important not to get too polarized if initially the response is different to how you see it. Now, there is a conjunction this week between Venus and Uranus, but it's in a brilliant part of your chart. There may be a social invite that comes completely out of the blue this week that actually is just the perfect tonic. Sometimes when we do things in a very unexpected or random way, they can be much more enjoyable than something that's very pre-planned, and that could be exactly what plays out. If you are in a very long-term relationship, having the sun in the 7th house but having Mars in the very independent part of your chart may remind you of the need to just revisit your individuality, both of you, but not necessarily lose the connection. Sometimes if we have our own interests, our own hobbies, our own friendships, when we come back into the union, we have things to share. There is a sense of spontaneity and stimulation. But also, there is an opportunity with Venus in a conjunction with Uranus that just by being with friends and hanging out, there may be someone you're going to encounter who's just great fun, really makes you laugh, is perhaps a little bit different, original, provocative, and that all can add to the colour and flavour and texture of this week. Now, Neptune is going to be going retrograde on Friday in the tender part of your scope. Anything to do with the emotional dimension in your world is going to still be very much to the fore, particularly to the end of August, with your ruler Saturn still in your 4th house. But Venus moving on Friday moves into a part of your chart which reminds us that however caring, loving, fun, or even sexy a relationship may be, there's nothing quite like thoughtful, practical gestures. So Venus moving into the 6th house can be a great time to think, what can I do? Whether it's make a cup of tea for a colleague, pop in to visit a neighbour. A small but thoughtful gesture can pay a lot of dividends over the next few weeks. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Aquarius, your week commencing the 30th of June forecast suggests if there are things you want to crack on with, projects, plans, strands that require a lot of effort, focus, attention, you can really put a lot of energy in a very effective way this week, as long as you're not distracted, because there can be distractions. For example, there may be something you want to do for yourself that comes up with the quarter moon, and you could feel a bit conflicted about what you feel you ought to be doing for someone else. So important not to overpromise this week. Do focus on the essentials. But the link between Venus, the relator, and your modern ruler of Uranus, something around home or family relationships, could come into focus, and that takes us back in terms of the big picture to when Uranus first moved into Aquarius in mid-May 2018, clashed with Mars very badly. That may have been a time over those 4 or 5 months where some turbulence was seeded, and you may be finding out at this juncture, with Venus combining with Uranus, just how that's all played out. And if there are people that you just don't seem to have a connection to, the energetic exchange isn't quite right. You can't quite be yourself with them. However much they may be blood relatives or people you knew when you were very younger, that may be something that comes up again this week. But on Friday, Neptune goes retrograde in the chattiest part of your scope. Saturn's still there through to the end of August. That's interesting, but what's much more interesting is that Venus moves into the most divine part of your chart for pleasure, for socializing, for interacting, for glamour, but also for romance. And over the next month, you could have a really fun time. But the key is that Venus links back to Pluto in your sign, back to that retreat in Neptune, but also your traditional ruler of Saturn. So whatever you discuss over the end of this weekend could be very significant around all sorts of connections. Maybe is the Venus conjunction Uranus could see an honest exchange of views which clears the air and settles something down which hasn't been very good for some while. But equally, if you're not particularly settled in your abode, you may find yourself very restless and want to do something about it. And I think that Venus moving into Gemini is suggesting a connection to people is very important in the weeks ahead. So if life has felt a bit mundane and a bit practical of late, you're definitely going to want to bring out that more air sign energy, the communicator in you. But also it could be around where you live. So if you're living somewhere that's too small, too constricting with people, or an environment you don't really like, you may want to change it. And by the end of this week, your personality power, whether it's around a relationship, your social life, or where you reside, can all be part of your equation of positivity in the weeks ahead. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more. So Pisces, your week commencing the 30th of June sees a lot of mental energy with Venus in a connection with Uranus, or mental energy around quick communications, whether you're having some fun sharing memes and amusing anecdotes with friends, or having a flirty interaction with someone, Venus in a conjunction with Uranus is as lively as it gets. But also, there is a very high energy link between the Sun and Mars, continuing on from last week, which you can surf that as well. That can be great if you are wanting to connect with people, enjoy some sports, perhaps even be a bit more competitive. Your appetite for that can be very strong. But your modern ruler, Neptune, does go into retrograde on Friday through to the third week of October in the sign of Aries. And of course, Saturn's there too through to the end of August. So I do think marshalling resources is going to continue to be important. Neptune can be, I feel, how we absorb things. The second house can be food. If there are improvements you could make around what you eat and drink, it is an opportunity to think about that with that Neptune retrograde. But then on Friday also, Venus moves into a part of your scope which I think has actually been very important for you over the last year, where you live and how you live there. Because Jupiter, your traditional ruler, was of course in your fourth house. And that energy was at times muted by the handbrake that was Saturn. So something that you may have worked towards over the last year or 13 months that you haven't quite had the chance to just refine as you really want, maybe to do with home decor, maybe to do with getting together with family members, maybe it is to do with running a business from home. Venus moving into your fourth house gives you a chance to think about those things. But Venus links back brilliantly to Pluto in your 12th house. There may be someone from your past that you feel very sentimental about as this week draws to a close. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get in contact with them, but whatever impact that person had in your senses, you can revisit that in a very powerful way. You could even have some extremely powerful and vivid dreams. But also, with Venus linking to not just Neptune but also Saturn, if you do work from home, or you're trying to make some physical amendments to where you live, the chances are you can do them in a tasteful way, but also a canny way in terms of eking out your resources. There is a quarter moon at the heart of this week, because the sun's in the part of your chart to do with being social and interactive and demonstrating flair, and the moon's in the 8th house. If there's any politics around your social circle, that's something I don't feel you will appreciate so much. So in that context, Venus's conjunction with Uranus could see you want to give someone a bit of space who you feel has predetermined expectations of you, and there's part of you at the moment I think needs to flow a little bit and perhaps enjoy the company of new faces and different types of people and just be much more in the moment. Please join me at my new website at patrickarundell.com. There are so many brilliant cosmic goodies for you to enjoy, including your free daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, general, love and Vedic horoscopes, and also my superb free 3-card tarot. Please see the link below for more.